15 minutes.
Thanks very much.
Seven and a half, is it?
Yeah, in about 7.5.
More or less.
Deputy Collins.
I particularly wanted to come in and support this bill because I think it's a step forward and it's something that is necessary in relation to trying to deal with the issue, because I think all the points that we made, I don't need to repeat them, that I feel, like my colleagues, that this myth that has been put out there, particularly by the department, that there's loads of people defrauding the system, is quite a dangerous thing to put out there, because there are many people that are genuinely receiving social welfare payments are all tarred with the same brush, and from the point of view of being in the fraud bracket, the fraud system. And it's been pointed out here what the real figures are, and they're not over and above the international norms that would be generally the case. It's much less, the real figures are much less than the 645 million that we're talking about, 640 million. And many of them are genuine errors and mistakes made by both the social welfare recipient and the department. And I think there's an awful lot of fear in people, even if they are aware that they're getting overpayments, of the bureaucracy of the department of going into an office and that, criminal outcomes that could possibly be put against them. And they're also fearful of a cut in their income because the income is very, very low. And I think this would be an opportunity for those people to come forward and say, I believe I am being overpaid, and can the department and let the department investigate that. And I think the point as well that's been made by Deputy Osnodic, that it would be a one-off amnesty lasting 1 month and would be succeeded by 2 months intensification of the existing anti-fraud and control activities by the department. Because I think an awful lot of people probably would come forward who are genuinely fearful of going to the department to declare that they are possibly on a wrong payment in relation to their social welfare. And I repeat, it is a very small minority of people receiving social welfare payments. And I've also raised the concern, we had one particular person in our own constituency who came forward, who came to us because someone had rang up and said that he was defrauding the system, and an inspector had to go down to the house, knock on the door, ask him loads of questions. It turned out he wasn't defrauding the system, but that the person who had made the complaint, we don't know, possibly had something against that particular person. There was an awful lot of waste of time of the inspector having to go out there, and that particularly people who do ring in should have to give their PPS number in relation to identify themselves in relation to ringing in if they suspect people of fraud in relation to that. And it's not an unusual thing for this state to look at giving tax amnesties to the very wealthy, as we mentioned already. Just to put in the record of the House, wasn't only just 1 or 2 tax amnesties have been given in this country. The record of amnesties for tax defaulters from 1988 to 1993 were 5 amnesties in 6 years. It even prompted, I think, at the time, one cartoonist to label Ireland as Amnesty International. As recently as 2009, yet another tax amnesty for the well-heeled was given, and this was a stamp duty incentive scheme. It was introduced in the Finance Act in 2008, and it gave 56 days waiver period. It gave amnesty and penalties up to 30% the amount payable, and seemingly it was on stamp duty not paid on land and property deals going back up to 10 years. That was a recent one in 2008. The revenue officers, I believe, are open to midnight on the last day, waiting for people, and not waiting for people because the amount of people who came forward. I don't think that would be the same amount in relation to social welfare recipients, but I think it would give the opportunity for people who are fearful, who are concerned that they could be on the wrong payment and are afraid of the department and the whole machine that they could be facing on their own in relation to this. And I think it's very progressive, and I think if there's aspects of it that people are concerned with, it should certainly go to committee, and there could be amendments put to it and a debate on those amendments in relation to aspects that they may be concerned with. But I think the main aspect, the main bill itself is robust and it can be taken on board. And I think the Minister should seriously consider it. And I think if there was a good response to the take-up of an amnesty, it would serve then for the department officials who are going out and getting phone calls and going out to this person, that person on prospective fraud, and it would save on that type of work as well, and would give more work to give frontline services to what's needed in the offices now with the amount of people who are going to the department seeking advice on what they're entitled to from the point of view of social welfare needs from the point of view of domiciliary care, all those type of things that's needed. So I think I am supporting the bill. I hope the Minister will take it on board. I hope she will be positive about taking something like this on board, because I think in the long term it will only serve well for the department in trying to deal with our everyday work from the point of view. And I will repeat to end my few minutes on this, that by putting out here this aspect of fraud, it does paint people in genuine people who need support from the state at this moment, where they've lost their jobs and where they need support, and they need domiciliary care, they need all these different supports to keep them alive and keep food on their table, that they are not tarred at that same brush. And I think this would deal with that issue in many ways and put that to bed from the point of view of people who are genuinely need support from the state at this bad time in our history, in relation to the recession that we're facing into and are not coming out of, and also the austerity measures that have been put into place in relation to people's lives.
Good morning, Deputy Secretary.